Moving on to the National Assembly, where Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, says smuggling, farmers' herders clashes, and insecurity are factors militating against availability of food in the country. This is as the Nigerian Customs Service disclosed it seized 120 trucks of grains in the last 2 weeks across border stations. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa reports.
Another round of a sectoral debate on issues of national importance. This time, attention is on food security and steps being taken by the government to redress the high cost of food across the nation. Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu sets the tone for the conversations ahead as he provides solutions to the current food scarcity.
Increasing per capita consumption, raising production yield, curbing food price inflation, and reducing reliance on food import.
The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security briefs the legislators on efforts by the government to make food available and affordable. The minister says 117,000 hectares of grains is waiting to be harvested, just as plans for the rainy and dry seasons are already on course.
We see farmers only farming activities in 4 months, and they'll stay idle for 8 months. But today, we've been working together with the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to take opportunity of the abundant irrigation facilities and the irrigable lands to do all year-round farming.
The Nigeria Customs Service also speaks on its contributions to easing the burden of hardship on the masses. It says 120 trucks of grains were seized in 2 weeks.
But for goods that are imported, illegally imported and are seized, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed that we should dispose of this item through direct sales to vulnerable Nigerians.
Inputs also came from the Nigerian Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NASAL, and the National Agriculture Development Fund.
Go around to see how we can be able to stimulate that, to see how we can be able to encourage the private sector.
A barrage of questions, comments and suggestions came from the lawmakers, and at the end, the Parliament directed the Nigeria Customs Service to include its members in the sale of food items to those they represent.
The members of the House of Representatives will become part and parcel of that for the what's supposed to go to their constituents.
TVC News, Abuja.
The House of Representatives has canvassed for urgent measures to ensure the safety and well-being of children on the internet. Its Committee on Justice escalated this advocacy at a public hearing on the bill seeking to enact the Child Online Access Protection Law. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa has details.
As the world gradually becomes a global village, concerns are raised about the safety of children. A bill to guarantee the safety of children online brings together these professionals and government agencies. No doubt the internet has revolutionized the society, connecting people from all walks of life, but everyone here agrees it brings with it some risk, particularly for the vulnerable minds. The Parliament charges parents and educators to do everything possible to protect the child from falling prey to internet pedophiles.
The enactment of this bill alone is not sufficient. It is imperative that we raise awareness amongst parents, guardians and educators about the potential dangers lurking in the digital realm. We must promote responsible internet use and foster open lines of communication with our children to ensure they feel safe and comfortable in reporting instances of online violence.
We are in a digital world, and Nigeria, as one member of the Committee of Nations, cannot live in isolation, and therefore we must key into the global best practice, and our children must not be exposed to an extent where some people take advantage of them.
Still on the use of the internet, the House has resolved to engage the Office of the National Security Advisor, other relevant agencies, cryptocurrency exchanges, and stakeholders in tracking, identifying and recovering illicit and laundered funds or assets. The sponsor of the motion under matters of urgent national importance emphasizes growing concerns over the national security implications of cryptocurrency and other related digital asset transactions.
The House is so worried about the assertion again that on Tuesday, 27 February 2024, that 26 billion US dollars has passed through some of the medium gateway platforms in Nigeria, from one source to another, with many Nigerians being shortchanged.
In collaboration with key actors, the House is to initiate necessary processes for establishing the profile of operators in the sector as a way of sanitizing the entire value chain and ensuring that the nation's security is not compromised. Joke Edsa, TVC News, Abuja.
Back to the proceedings at the National Assembly today, especially the floor of the House. Let's bring in our correspondent, National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa, for more on this. Joke, the deliberation on food security seemed to have dominated the conversation on the floor of the House today. Give us details on this and the recommendations that were made by the lawmakers.
Thank you, Precious. You know too well that the state of the nation certainly is not a cause for worry for only the government, but every citizen. And the National Assembly members, as representatives of the people, of course, do have a responsibility in that regard. And that explains why the 10th House of Representatives made this sectoral debate a very key aspect of its agenda. And so, over time, this is the third in the series. We had the security agents, we had security chiefs, then the economic team, and now agriculture and food security. So it's in that line that the House hosted at the Minister of Agriculture and the food security, as well as the CG of the Nigeria Customs Service and two others in that field. But basically, they've been able, at least the minister was able to bring before the House steps that have been taken so far in the immediate, medium term, and the long term. And so they were also convinced, at least, and they were hopeful that from what they have heard and what they have seen, there certainly lies hope ahead for Nigerians. If you look at the statistics and the figures read out by the minister and the CG and others that came on that team. But basically, at the end of it all, it was agreed that, like the minister said, that every Nigerian needs to embrace agriculture because it is capital. We're talking of business here. That we should make it business and not leisure, away from subsistence farming and all that. So I think that came up, and they need to also fight insecurity, to also ensure that insecurity is brought down on its knees. I think those are the parts of the recommendations that were made, and also that, like the Deputy Speaker has said finally, that was to the CG of Customs that they want to be involved in the process. If you say, if Mr. President has directed that 6 items be sold at very reduced prices to people, and they represent the people, so they should have a say in what happens. And I think the CG, the Nigeria Customs Service, agreed no less as far as that is concerned. So we're talking about increasing agricultural productivity, also talking about promoting sustainable farming methods, also about encouraging private sector investment, and also expanding access to financial services, while also increasing agricultural aid, and most importantly, ensuring that insecurity is tamed. And that is the only way that every effort being made would produce results.
Interesting, Joke. What is even more interesting is that one of the biggest conversations in the world today when it comes to social media and the internet is child protection. We understand that the lawmakers also seem to have been considering a bill in that regard, and they have called it the Child Online Access Protection Law. What are the provisions of this law?
Yes, you and I know too well that this is the world is gradually becoming a global village, and digital is just the way to go. Gradually, everywhere. And Nigeria certainly cannot be left out. So, what is the option out is to ensure that there are laws that will ensure that the safety of children, so that vulnerable minds, their safety is taken care of. When you look at cyberbullying, there has been a research that identifies that 1 in every 5 children skip school or even avoid school completely as a result of cyberbullying. And so there's the need to arrest this with these days, we see our children, even a 3-year-old child is carrying his on phone, is on the internet, surfing and all that. 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, and now they understand these gadgets even more than adults. So what the law or what that bill seeks to achieve is to ensure that the safety of the children while being online, because we cannot afford, you can't take them off the line. That's it, the intent now, and so they just have to carry along. So basically, as parents, as educators, as guardians, that bill is saying that there are responsibilities. You cannot, and particularly when you look at the forces of a parenting, which talks about the choice you make, the consequences of those choices. You need to also be consistent, and also they need to also have compassion. So by the time we put all of this together, of course, the children will certainly be protected. These days you just have to protect you just have to get what your children watch online, without which they can be misled, they can be bullied, and so many things. We also I've also had of privacy, invasion of privacy, as far as this era is concerned. And so what the bill is saying is that certainly there must be ways there must be measures to prevent them from. Most of these children also get to learn drug addiction, all manner of atrocities online. And so what the bill seeks to achieve is to ensure that these children are guided, proper legislations are provided for them, so that at the end of the day, their minds, particularly with the experience with pedophiles, that they are not taking advantage of.
Exactly, the pedophile issue is one of the biggest as well on social media. We'll see how this bill, the provisions of this bill in the coming days, and how Nigerians will also react to it. Thank you so much, Joke, for that update. I corresponded there live for us in the nation's capital.